Okay, right here I have today's assignment lesson 13 practice problems. All right, so today's topic were amplitude and midline. So for each of these functions indicate the amplitude and midline. So for amplitude, we look for a multiplier. There's a 2 here, there's nothing there, and there's a 1.4 there. So that's going to be our amplitude. And then for the midline, we're looking for like a shift up or down. We'll be able to see that shift by something being added or subtracted here at the end. All right, so for A, the amplitude is 2. The midline, there isn't anything added, so the midline is just y equals 0. B, there isn't a number in front of cosine, so the amplitude is 1, and the midline is y equals -5. And for C, it has an amplitude of 1.4, and the midline is y equals 3.5. Okay, for number 2, here's the graph of the equation. We have 2 times the sine of theta minus 3 indicate the midline on the graph. So I know the midline is at y equals -3 because of the minus 3 right there in the equation. So right here, y equals -3 is the midline. Use the graph to find the amplitude of this sine equation. Well, in the equation, I can see the amplitude is 2. And when I look here, the distance from the midline to a minimum or maximum is the amplitude. And it's a distance of 2. So I know that the amplitude is equal to 2. So this was y equals -3, and the amplitude is 2. All right, for number 3, all of the functions with an amplitude of 3. So in order for a function to have an amplitude of 3, a trigonometric function, there has to be a 3 being multiplied by the trig function. So those 3 have a 3 in the front. This one is shifted up 3, this one's shifted down 3, and then this one has a left-right shift. So just the 3 A, C, and E. All right, moving on, number 4, the center of a windmill is 20 feet off the ground and the blades are 10 feet long. All right, so we have 2 things going on here, a change in like the midline and a change in the amplitude. So knowing that this is 20 feet off the ground, and then the blades are 10 feet long, so we have a distance of 10 in that direction. Okay, so for rotation angles of the windmill, and then how the vertical position in feet. So fill out the table. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. Holy smokes. So we have at pi over 6. At pi over 6, the height, so here's pi over 6. The height is 1/2, but it's 1/2 of 10, okay? So we've got the 20 feet here, and then we've got 1/2 of 10, okay, because the blades are 10 feet long. And so that's a total height of 20, or vertical position of 25 feet. Okay, for pi over 3, the height is √3/2. And so this time we have kind of the same idea, 20 plus 10 times √3/2. And I'm going to have to put that into a calculator. Oh my gosh, I think I already did that. I did. So it's about 28.7. Ooh. That was a nice surprise. All right, at pi over 2, when it's straight up, the height is 1. So we've got, 20 feet here. plus 10 times 1, or just 10. So the height is 30 feet. At pi, the height is 0, and so it's just the 20 feet off the ground, like for this part, but this part's at 0, so just 20 feet total. And then finally at 3 pi over 2. At 3 pi over 2, oh goodness, my unit circle is missing the negative on the 1 down there. Oops. Okay, at 3 pi over 2, the height is at negative 1, and so that means it's going to be 20 minus 10 because it's down here, 10 feet. So that is 10. Okay, write an equation for the function that describes the relationship between the angle of rotation theta and the vertical position of the point P. So f of theta in feet. F of theta. So we have an amplitude of 10, that's the length of the blade. And then we were looking at the height, which is the sine function. So 10 times the sine of theta plus the 20, because it's 20 feet off the ground. Okay, number 5, the measure of angle theta in radians satisfies that the sine of theta is less than 0. So sine is negative. If theta is between 0 and 2 pi, what can you say about the measures of theta? Okay, so if the sine of theta is less than 0, we're looking at the bottom half of our unit circle, because the bottom half is where sine is negative or less than 0. So the angles that are down here are between pi and 2 pi. So theta has to be between pi and 2 pi. And the way that we write that is we say pi is less than theta is less than 2 pi. Notice I only have less than, not less than or equal to, because at pi and at 2 pi, the sine is equal to 0, and so that's not negative. So anything between pi and 2 pi. All right, we're almost done here. Number 6. So the couple of review problems now. Which rotations with center of O, I think that's an O, take P to Q? Select all that apply. Okay, so it looks like Q is right in the middle of 3 pi over 2 and 2 pi. Okay, so the first one I'm going to guess is a 7/4 of pi, or 7 pi over 4. Okay, now the other ones, I don't have any negative angles, so I'm just going to start adding 2 pi. So 7 pi over 4 plus 2 pi. So in fourths, 2 pi is equal to 8 pi over 4. Okay, when you add those together, you get 15 pi over 4, which is answer choice B. From here, so I know it's D is not a possibility because I passed it. Went from 7, added 2 pi, got to 15. And so I passed that one. Also, there's no way it's 3/4 of pi. They can't be the same place. 3/4 of pi is over here. It's not down here. Okay, so I know that. And then this is the last one I need to check. So from right here, 15 pi over 4. If we add a full circle, we get 15 plus 8 is 23, so 23 pi over 4, which is answer choice B. So B, C, and E could all land right here, starting at P. Just additional laps. Okay, finally, number 7. The picture shows 2 points P and Q on the unit circle. Explain why the tangent of P and Q is equal to 2. Okay, so there's this line that is goes through the origin, and then it also goes through P and Q, and the slope of this line is 2. So for this line right here, the slope is equal to 2. And I know the slope is equal to 2 because this is 0, 0, and this goes up to and over 1. And so that's how you find slope, right? So up to and over 1. Okay, so the line that goes through PQ and the origin has a slope of 2. So that means that the tangent of those two angles represented by P and by Q is also equal to 2. So the proportion of the slope would be the same as the proportion of the tangent. Okay. All right. So that's the end of your assignment. And I'm going to go